Hey guys, today I want to speak about a topic that's not often talked about, and that topic is on how to break out of the employee mindset. Now I'm talking about this topic because the employee mindset is something that we all get trained into as we grow up. For example, the fact that we wait, typically, most people wait for a paycheck to come in once a month. Whose idea was that you should earn an income once a month, rather than maybe your income coming in a few times in a month, or even every day? Or even the fact that as an employee, you wait for someone to direct you, to guide you, to say to you, this is the piece of work you need to do, here are your areas of responsibility, and so on. Now, this is not a video to bash employees, because most people are employees. For most of my working life, I've been an employee and I enjoyed my time as an employee, even though there were many challenges that I had as an employee. But the thing I've realized is that being an employee, there is a mindset that a lot of people have that's holding them back from their future potential, or from where they might be able to get to if they adopted a slightly different mindset. So this video is just me sharing some thoughts for how you can break free from that mindset. And I'm not saying here, stop being an employee. Of course not, because most people are employees and will carry on being employees. What I am saying though is adopt a radically different mindset, because that mindset will take you places if you adopted it over time. I'm going to be sharing what that is today. Now, I thought about today's video for two reasons. The first one is that a few days ago, it became 3 years since I actually moved from working in a full-time corporate capacity and made the personal choice to start to do what I do today. For example, making videos like this being one of them. And it made me think that in those 3 years, I've become a radically different person. In that, my outlook is different, the way I approach things, the way I make decisions. In fact, I did an Instagram live recently, yesterday, and someone on there said to me, Ken, you appear to be so disciplined. And I thought that's really interesting that individual said that to me. And a lot of that has come from letting go of my previous employee mindset. The second reason I thought about making today's video is because I spoke to a friend of mine. A good friend of mine, Marielle, and I were having a chat. And she was saying to me, Ken, do you know what? I'm a bit tired of life in the UK at the moment. I want to just move out. I'm going to head over to the US. So she moved to the US for a bit and she didn't really like it in the US. And then she came back to the UK and then she said, you know what? I might try and move to Ghana, or I might try and consider other warm countries as a place to move. Now, had she been tied to one location, had she been tied to her job, had she only had that typical employee mindset, she would be restricted and not be able to go anywhere else. So it made me realize that, you know what? Letting go of that core employee mindset that we're all trained into as we grow up really then opens up the world. The world feels a lot bigger. The opportunity set feels so much bigger, and you feel so much more empowered to do a lot more with your life. If you're enjoying today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, because to be honest with you, I only really make these videos if I think they're going to be life-changing for somebody out there. And it's my hope that today's video actually speaks to you directly. And whilst you're there, please like this video as well, because it really does help to get this video promoted to more people. Now, the first thing I'd say when I look at this whole idea of breaking out of the employee mindset is to identify your limiting beliefs. Yeah, I'm looking at my things. I've got some notes written down. Now, identify your limiting beliefs. For example, what are some of the limiting beliefs that might be holding you back as an employee and stopping you maybe exploring more beyond what you might be doing today? You might be stuck in a bit of a rut at the moment at work and you're thinking, well, actually, I've got much more potential. I might want to start my own side hustle, potentially. I might want to start my own business. Or I might even want to become an entrepreneur. I might want to explore opportunities within my work environment. Yeah? So a lot of people have limiting beliefs, things that actually hold them back, that makes them believe they're not good enough for something. Yeah. One of those limiting beliefs could be, for example, that you think that you don't have the skills, you don't have what it takes. And for example, that starting a business, and I'm making this up, for example, starting a business is too risky. That might be your limiting belief. A way to turn that limiting belief on its head and almost reframe it is for you to realize that you've actually got transferable skills from your job right now that are very useful and can be applied in other areas. That can be applied to you starting something that gives you joy, something you're passionate about, something you're good at. You're using that talent and that ability to create an opportunity elsewhere. A limiting belief for you could be your gender. You might say, I'm a woman, or you might say, I'm a man, or you might say, like, I'm black, or I'm an ethnic minority, and I don't feel that I have what it takes. I used to actually have that limiting belief when I was going into the world of personal finance. I didn't see many people who looked like me, who I could point to and say, oh, I want to listen to him because he looks like me, or I can relate to his cultural background or his journey. There was nobody like that back in 2017. And I had to gradually overcome that limiting belief by seeking evidence for something else, for the type of outcome that I wanted in my life. So that's the first thing I'd say. Step one is to identify the limiting beliefs in your life. Step two would then be to develop a growth mindset. Yeah? A growth mindset is the belief that you can develop your abilities and improve over time through hard work and dedication. For example, like, what are you currently doing at the moment that's kind of pushing you a bit outside of your comfort zone from a work perspective, from a development perspective? Are you pushing yourself to learn more? Are you acquiring new skills? Are you using your existing skills in a completely different way? Yeah, all those things are different ways that you can actually develop yourself. Like, I personally found myself that one thing that helped me a lot from this growth mindset perspective is putting myself in communities where other people who had the mindset I wanted existed. Yeah. So in my case, it was a community of entrepreneurs, people who were doing things online, people that I wanted to spend time with and kind of just see how they thought about things, to see how they solved problems, see how they made money, see how they approached complex situations. So putting yourself in those environments, joining specific groups, is a gradual way for you to develop your growth mindset. Also, just exposing yourself to books. You know, I've got some books behind me. I read lots of books on different topics, things that just help me to expand my imagination. And by doing that, expands my mindset from a growth perspective. Step three will be to take calculated risks. The one thing I've realized when I worked as an employee and the mindset I had there was that I pretty much just did enough of what I needed to do to just get by or to get paid or whatever. Yeah. The thing I found personally with taking calculated risks is that calculated risks puts you in the driving seat of ownership. You feel like you're owning something, like you're doing something that you've thought about, hence the word calculated. And I think this mindset's important. One way you can practice this as an employee, whilst to be an employee, is something we talk about a great deal on this channel, is to take up a side hustle, is to practice something else. Because that side hustle is on your own balance sheet. Whereas when you work for another employer, you are on your employer's balance sheet. You're making mistakes on their own balance sheet, on their own money, on their own budgets. Whereas when you do something with your own money, when you take a calculated risk on your own money, you've assessed the return you might get from it, you've assessed the potential for failure, and so on. Taking that calculated risk helps you to develop a totally different mindset, and a mindset that is much more superior to the typical employee mindset. Yeah. Another example of this, as I mentioned previously, was becoming an entrepreneur. So this is you in your work, in your place of work, actually taking steps to create value at work beyond just doing what's necessary as per your contract to earn your income. Yeah, I typically saw this when I worked in my corporate environment. I typically saw this with salespeople. Salespeople had a very interesting type of work in that they were paid a base salary typically, and then at the same time they were paid based on commission. So it meant that they had that kind of hunter instinct. They were always out there trying to find work, trying to close deals, trying to create opportunities, booking meetings, and that kind of stuff. So what you want in order to break free from the employee mindset, so ask yourself, how can I do a bit more of what a salesperson does typically? And you can do this without being a salesperson. It's about looking for the opportunities and creating them in your place of work. Step 4 would then be to seek feedback and learn from failures. Now, for a lot of people, seeking feedback is something that they're actually afraid of. People think that when they seek feedback, it will kind of hurt their feelings a little bit. When in actual fact, in order to break free from that typical employee mindset, seeking feedback should be seen as an asset. It should be seen as something that will help you to improve, yeah? Rather than something that might put you in a box or someone might point fingers at you and judge you. See feedback as, you know what, this is how I'm going to grow by learning how I can improve in different ways, yeah? Another good way of seeking feedback is in the failures you might experience when it comes to running a side hustle. A lot of people start stuff, but it doesn't work out. And then they give up. When in actual fact, you see that thing you started as a way of learning. Because think of it, there is no failure really. Everything's about learning. What have I learned from this success? What have I learned from this failure? And so on. So see the experience of trying stuff out as, and even failing from it, as a way for you to seek feedback and grow as an individual, as you break away from that core employee mindset. Another way you can do this is actually to volunteer for leadership roles at work, you know, in your workplace, or even to seek additional responsibilities. Again, this is a way of putting yourself in a place of responsibility. And by doing that, you are taking, you know, the expression I remember someone telling me once is you're getting your feet wet. You know, you're putting your feet to the fire, as it were. You're actually not hiding behind, but you're in the front. And this is what happens even in the world of entrepreneurship. You are actually the person who has to create the opportunity. You're actually the person who has to go out there and network and build relationships. So by taking on those bits of responsibility, you are breaking free from that core employee mindset. And then final tip I want to share today, step 6, is to network and build relationships. Networking is literally everything. The thing I've learned from 3 years of doing this without being in my typical kind of corporate environment is that I've had to learn. Every day I wake up, I'm thinking about what relationships can I build, where can I network, what opportunities can I create, yeah? And that networking, that relationship building has to come from a place of love. You have to really care about the people you're trying to build relationships with and go above and beyond. It's not just about trying to get something from people, it's about how can you also sow things into their lives. Great ways of networking are that I'd start by actually appreciating that you bring a great deal of value into the world. So never feel that you are, you don't bring a lot on. You know, I remember someone saying to me once when I did again an Instagram live, they said that they felt intimidated when they went to do networking. I'd say that intimidation comes from a place of lack of self-awareness. Because the more you become self-aware and you become really clear on who you are and what you bring to the world, the more you are able to approach anybody. Like I say to people all the time, I can speak to anyone, whether they're a prime minister or a president or a manager or even somebody I met on a bus, for example. I can speak to them from a place of comfort because I understand who I am and what value I bring to us. So I'd say with networking, focus on understanding who you are first. That core self-awareness is important. What value do you bring to the world? And when you then engage with people, it then becomes about how can I sow into their lives and they sow into mine. Practical ways you can do this is you can join private members clubs. You can join online communities where there are people who have a similar mindset. So it could be focused on topics like entrepreneurship, and things like that. There are lots of communities online. Find one where you feel people have a similar mindset. We have communities, you can kind of look these up if you want on our website and so on. This is not what this is about. I want you to go and do the research yourself and find the places you want to hang out. And I can tell you that if you make the effort to get yourself into those spaces where you're networking, you find yourself growing as an individual. And when you combine that with taking risks, when you combine that with developing a growth mindset, as I mentioned, challenging your limiting beliefs and so on, you will find ultimately that over time, and it will take some time, you will eventually break free from that core, break free from that mindset that an employee typically has, where they are waiting to be handed everything. They're waiting to be given orders. They're waiting for that paycheck and so on. Instead, you be that person creating your own opportunities. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it really spoke to you. It's raw. I just read some of my notes on my phone and delivered it as it came from the heart. If it really spoke to you, I'd love for you to jump in the comments. As I said from the very beginning, I'm not making this video to say to you, don't be an employee. Of course you should be an employee. What I made these videos for is to challenge the mindset you have, even if you carried on as an employee or if you if you took the step to realize that you have so much more beyond just being an employee. You have that mindset that can help you create opportunities in different spheres. Okay, thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. And as always, in all things, people, be thankful and seek joy. Take care and see you on our next video. Bye for now.